and private contractors pushed into arrears. Short-term fiscal savings thus translate into higher unemployment, weaker SMEs, and slower future tax growth. Real GDP grew by 6.3% year-on-year in the first half of 2025, yet the composition of this growth is telling. The recent 6.3% growth is services heavy, led by ICT, finance, and trade, while construction and manufacturing lag. The government is not building the economy's productive base. Banks, meanwhile, are crowded out by government borrowing at the short end, preferring T-bills over long-term lending, deepening the cycle of high interest, low investment, and low job creation. Since this administration came into office, the budgets that they have presented to this House, to Parliament, 2025 budget and the mid-year budget, allocations for capital expenditure and goods and services remain unreleased, and workers across the public sector are paid but not given the necessary tools and inputs to work. This is what we call fiscal indiscipline, that you pay workers and yet you don't release goods and services to give them the tools and the inputs to work with. That is fiscal indiscipline in reality. Some ministries do not even have basic things such as toilet rolls and are unable to even provide fuel for government work. A close look at the data presented in the 2026 budget confirmed the fear by the minority early this year that this government was incapable of implementing its programs they presented in the 2025 budget. For example, goods and services. The government programmed to spend 5.1 billion Ghana cedis from Q1 to Q3, but ended up spending only 3.8 billion Ghana cedis. This compares to the annual allocation of 6.7 billion Ghana cedis. The amount released for goods and services is about 56% of the total allocation for the year, yet the year has come to an end already. CAPEX. The program CAPEX for Q1 to Q3 was 26.6 billion Ghana cedis, but actual release was just 11 billion Ghana cedis. This is 34% of the total CAPEX of 32.6 billion Ghana cedis allocated for the year 2025. So when we say the minister has not been spending, we are right. The minister's own data on the release for goods and services and capital spending say it all. The more concerning from these developments is the systematic and deliberate under-execution of growth-enhancing public investment. The under-execution of capital projects is also a mirror of fiscal fragility, including revenue pressures, because persistent shortfalls have eroded space for discretionary spending, financing constraints, because frequent auction under subscription have forced reliance on short-term T-bills, raising rollover risk, and rising interest costs, because a growing share of revenue is locked into debt service, crowding out the growth expenditure. By cutting investment to meet short-term cash targets, the government is treating liquidity symptoms rather than addressing structural weaknesses in revenue and debt management. Public investment has one of the highest employment multipliers in Ghana's economy. Construction and engineering absorb large numbers of semi-skilled workers and drive demand for cement, steel, and transport services. When capital projects stall, contractors' arrears accumulate, SME liquidity tightens, and bank non-performing loans creep upward. The short-term fiscal saving thus creates medium-term job and credit losses. The government